Good morning, everybody. This is Rama on Writing with your weekly Saturday webinar series. We don't have an author to interview this week, so we're going to talk about planning your steps in this process. And there's a lot of planning involved here, and I know many people don't like the word planning, but we're going to belly up to the bar and we're going to all start looking at this. I just wanted to say that next week we will be going back to the author interview with Tom Carroll, and we are going to make his PDF available to you. Of course, we're not dumb. You will need to contact him, and by doing so, he will have your contact information to put on his mailing list. Remember, nothing is free in this world. You have to give up your contact info to get free stuff. And that's just the way it is in this internet marketing world. So we're going to provide that. Tom's book has been a challenge, but it is one of the coolest looking books that I think we've ever put together. It had a lot more design components, which I think made it a harder book to actually get all the little details sorted out. Not that I will ever do a book that requires any kind of design, because I learned my lesson with Tom that Rama type books don't need to be designed very fancy. But I think that Tom really stepped up to the plate in wanting his book to have a certain look, and we did it. This was the most designed book that I've ever produced. In the Tom Bird program. So I'm kind of proud of what we actually created. And Tom and I worked a lot together. I had a lot of input in it, and Tom, has some great content. Remember, we are content providers, and this is one of the things that we need to always remember and really, kind of give ourselves a pat on the back for being able to do this sort of thing where many other people don't have that ability. And because we are content providers, that means we have to provide content. And that's the root of what we're going to be talking about in the next few moments, okay? This webinar today is kind of related to something that I sometimes like to call, where do we go from here? Okay, so now you've got your book in print. You've got a website up. If you don't have your ebooks yet, you will have your ebooks. So you have your print version book. You're listed on Amazon. You've got ebooks either on the way or also up on Kindle and a few other places. You do have a website up, and you might be actually even using the website. I think that most of us don't. My standard joke about the Mountain Bike Heaven website was that we update it every decade, whether we need to or not. And I think that that's probably a kind of a stupid approach to marketing, but I think that it's a very prominent approach. We like to think that if we create it, they will come. And we might attract a little attention that way, but the potential is a lot greater. And I think that one of the key components moving forward at this point in time for all of our authors is to work the website. Okay, so Tom Carroll, the number one thing that I would consider, and I'll tell you why, is that you need to get your blog up on your website, and you need to post to that blog, once a week if you can, okay? I personally think that a minimum of once a week is a good starting point. Why did I say that blogging was the first step? Because By posting by posting to your blog on a weekly basis on your website, the search engine spiders of Google will view your website more favorably, and you'll come up closer. Your ranking will go up and up and up. Okay, that is an easy component to do as number one thing to get rolling. Okay, now bear in mind that at first thought you're thinking, oh my gosh, that means I have to write a blog post every week. Not necessarily. You could take an afternoon off, Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon, someday during the week, and you could sit down and you could write blog postings for 3 months at a time if you were motivated to do so. And then you could schedule those blog posts through the WordPress template to go up on your website once a week. Bear in mind, Tom, that this may not be a real satisfying component because you may not have that many people that are going to look at your blog at first, okay? So the key is to get posts out there and get into a pattern of and a schedule of getting these blogs posted up and moving forward from there. Now, in order to create a more successful environment for your blog, there are a number of things that you can do. Number one, you want to use your social media for every blog that you post saying, hey, I've got a new blog posting on the best mountain bike trail in Sedona. And so someone's going to say, wow, I want to find out what the best mountain bike trail in Sedona is. And so they're going to go and they're going to read that blog. Okay, so that's how you advertise your blog. Now, there is another component to advertising your blog that most of us forget, and I don't have specific websites listed in front of me, but there are a series of websites that I consider blog Rolodexes. Okay, these are sites that categorize blogs. Okay, in order to qualify, I would imagine you need to have a blog. So you can't just pretend that you're going to blog, come up with a name, and not do anything, because I think that defeats the whole purpose of this. And if you want to email me, I can go search through my email files and see if I can find what those websites are. I think there were 3 or so websites that were generally viewed as Rolodexes. And I believe that I did a posting on the Facebook page, Promote Your Book Now, that talked about 30 some odd places that you could essentially advertise your blog and get it listed. So check out the page, go through the articles, and see if you can find that. So that is a key starting point in this endeavor of promoting our book. So now I'm going to take a step back. Now that I've given one main component to get started, let me take a step back and see if we can perhaps demystify the way to move ahead after we produce our book. And this doesn't have to wait until after, okay? You may just be thinking about writing a book and you don't even have the book written yet. There are things that you can do, and blogging is one of them. But what I would recommend getting, you've all seen those big desktop calendars. Usually at Staples, they run a deal, and for $5, you can pick up this big desktop calendar, and you put your own month in there. And, sometimes you even have to put the days in there. Sometimes they're all set up month by month. It's a very low-level investment. And what it does is it allows you to look at the whole month all at once. And you can put that up on the wall in front of your desk, or you can use it as your desk blotter. That was, kind of the initial development of those ideas. And in this calendar, you can lay out, number one, when am I going to have a blog posting up? So if we decide that, Tom, you're going to have a blog post come out every Thursday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you can then take a look. Well, in order to actually do this, I probably need to post on, Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn, whichever the social media is that you find you want to use, that on Thursday at 6 o'clock in the morning or something, maybe 12 o'clock even, you're going to want to start saying, hey, I've got this new blog posting coming out. Here's the URL for it. Okay, now, if your URL is too long, you can go to bit.ly, B-I-T-L-E-Y. You can plug it in and you can get one of those coded URLs. And many times in Twitter, that is a very important component because you're only allowed certain number of characters for each tweet. So there are little steps like that that you could consider doing. That takes a couple of seconds to, get a bit.ly component. And again, if you go to my Facebook page, the Promote Your Book Now Facebook page, you can see some of those articles and things I posted. I ran through bit.ly. I'm not sure if I really needed to do it, but I wanted to check it out and do it. Sometimes it's good to get in the habit to do certain things in this process. Okay, so we talked about the component on a blog and what you're going to want to do to kind of prime the pump so that actually people can go to your blog. What else? What else are you going to want to put on your calendar? Okay, well, there are 5 main types of social media. Okay, and there's a lot of other sites that people feel are really important. But just to reiterate, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Google+. Those are considered the 5 main social medias. I think Instagram might be number 6. A lot of people seem to use it. I haven't checked it out yet, so I don't even have a clue. And I've really devoted more of my time to Facebook than any other ones, but I do have accounts on all of those 5 social media. I do not work them. One of the things is that you're going to determine that Facebook and Twitter are the ones that you want to work more, or Pinterest and Google, whatever you decide. Okay, you can then lay down in your calendar that on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm going to post on Facebook and I'm going to do some tweeting. Okay, now much of this can be scheduled. There is a free software called Hootsuite. I think it's HOOTSUITE. Hootsuite is a dashboard approach. So that means that you can sit down on that Saturday afternoon and you can lay down those posts that you want to go out, and you can schedule when they go out. You don't have to be there to actually do that. So everybody, I would recommend checking out Hootsuite. You can get an app for your iPhone. You can download the software for your PC and Mac, and you can utilize the effectiveness of a dashboard approach. If any of you have worked with Denise Casino in your Amazon book launch, she utilizes Hootsuite. And so what she does, she mostly works out of Twitter, and so she will create 6, 10, 12 Twitter posts for you, and then that will go out one day, and she would also have that go out the next day, the next day, the next day. She might adjust the sequence of them. Concept being is that some people are on Twitter at certain times. And just like as a retailer, what I used to do is when someone walked in my door, they saw something, okay? There was eye stuff right that you knew that they were going to catch. And so those places in the shop were very highly changed. You know, every month, every couple of weeks, I would change the product that was there so that if Tom came to my shop one week and he came back the next week, he would see different things. So that's why you can use the same tweets in a different sequence going out at different times and not feel that you're necessarily being redundant. Different people will see different things, okay? You don't want to necessarily do that for time immemorial, but that would be a approach that you can repackage your presentation material. Okay, so we've talked now a little bit about laying out how we work our calendar, our plan, okay? So if you don't know about LinkedIn, well, you know, next week, that can be one of the activities that you're going to devote time to. I'm going to spend a half hour learning about LinkedIn this week. I'm going to go back next week and spend another half hour. I'm going to go back for 3 or 4 weeks until I understand what the heck I'm going to do. And then after that, in the next week, I'm going to do some LinkedIn posting, okay, or join groups or click likes or, you know, whatever it is. Okay, so one of the keys to Twitter that Denise, I'm jumping a little bit, but I'm trying to provide you with some constructive actual tasks that you can do to grow your presence. Okay, so one of the things that Denise tells us that we need to do to build our Twitter followers is we need to follow people. And if, you know, how do you determine who to follow? And that's a good question. What her guideline is that you can look for some of the big people in your genre. Okay, if I'm writing about mountain biking, then there are mountain biking celebrities that are on Twitter. Well, I'm going to look at them, and what I'm looking at is who is following them. And those are the people that I'm going to start following. And usually with Twitter, if you follow somebody, they start to follow you. Okay, so we want to kind of set up parameters for this sort of growth. Is that you know, once a week I'm going to get on Twitter and I'm going to follow 20 people, and once a week I'm going to go on Facebook and I'm going to friend 20 people. Or, you know, these websites do have boundaries or limitations, and if you follow too many people at any one day, you will get your account locked. I had a roommate who was a wacko, who got about every other day he would get locked out of Facebook because he went about doing this process too ambitiously. So we could you know, set up in Bill's chart when we look at it, we can set up those kind of parameters ahead of time so that you know that, okay, with Twitter I can only follow 20 people a day or 50 people a week or whatever before we get ostracized for abusing the system. And that may not be a bad idea to do. Okay, now there's, in addition to the main social media, there are what I consider book social media. And I was on a gal's website yesterday. I actually had a phone call with her, and one of the programs that she offers is a way that you can get your book up on, you know, a bunch of those accounts. So she had identified them as well, that there are something that would be more book specific social media. The big boy, as far as I can tell, is Goodreads. So if we're going to be working the 5 social medias, we want to also include Goodreads in that and make that the 6th social media. Okay, so there are a series of these kind of websites. The ones that I have discovered, there was one called the Polka Dot Banner that was put together by a gal named Jamie Saloff, Saloff. She is a former um, student of Tom Bird, and I think that in his initial approach to rolling out his published now business, she had the position that I had, and she went on to bigger and better things. So maybe one day I will do so also. Her website is really interesting. If you haven't been there, uh, it's a huge resource for authors to learn about stuff, and it's also a huge resource for readers to learn about books, what books they might want to go through. Her website is a very interesting website. I haven't been to the new update that she was going to do probably about a year ago since I've spoken to her last. Time gets away. That's why we're actually putting our plan on this calendar so that time doesn't sneak away so much, and we feel that we're not making any progress in moving ahead. I found another website that I would consider similar to this, and that was called the Author's Den. So you can, on all of these websites, there are ways that you can set up your profile, just like on a social media. Some of these websites have a slight fee to get some level of promotion on it, and all of these websites allow you to spend more money with them to get higher visibility for your book. I don't know if any of them are worth spending a chunk of money with, but if it's a low level investment, and when I say low level, I consider that under $20, it's worth a gamble. I mean, $20 is 4 cups of coffee, gang. So there are ways that we can do this, and we want to keep track of all this because we all have our own publishing company, and if we actually are going to make money at it, then we want to offset some of that with expenditures. So those are some of the websites that I've encountered. So Tom, on your calendar, one week you're going to go to the Polka Dot Banner and you're going to list your information. Another week, and you could do this a day. You could have, okay, on Mondays, I'm going to search out book social media websites to list my profile and my book. And you can, devote an hour to this. You can devote a half hour. One of the keys to successful getting your footprint out to a bigger audience is to regularly research and list. So this kind of component can be spread out on that monthly calendar that you have. And once you do get yourself listed, I would recommend, every week, every other week, once a month, revisiting that website to see what's going on. Well, heck, like for Goodreads, for example, part of the process with Goodreads is that you basically recommend, you kind of rate books that you've read, okay? So by looking at books in your genre, you can rate them, and so one of the things that you can create is a presence. Okay, it goes back to the approach that for all of these websites and for all of our social media, essentially you need to start networking before you call in favors. Okay, you want to establish a presence, whether that means that you start finding those groups in Facebook that have like-minded people, and you start posting comments about other people's posts. That is a accepted practice, that you kind of establish a rapport before you ask favors, okay? Because otherwise they kind of view you as a spammer. So, trust me, I've tried to do these kind of things. I've tried to just go to a group and list my book, and generally it gets deleted off of the page right away. But if you spend the time and make comments and stuff like that, then you can slowly integrate your presence there and start driving traffic to who you are and what you do. Okay, one of the good things about Goodreads is that they have a place where you can either post your blog or post a link to your blog. That's a pretty good thing, and I know I discovered the effectiveness of Goodreads when I was doing an author interview. One of the things that I used to do, and this was more in the when I was working with the last platform, which was GoToMeeting, because there we didn't share our cameras, but I shared my screen. And what I would do is I would put an author's name into my Google search and their book name, and I'd see what came up. And generally, an Amazon listing would come up, some social media listings. And one of my authors, Goodreads, came up number 2. And I thought, wow, how did that happen? And so I started to investigate Goodreads a little bit more. And at that point, I started to tell the authors that, hey, this is a very, very important site to get your information listed on. So that's how you can determine things, okay? You can take a look at some of the authors in our program. And the ones that I would be looking at would be Deb McTiernan, and that's McTiernan. Her book is called Lily Noble and Actual Magic. So by plugging her in your Google search, you're going to find, websites that you may not be aware of, because she is well down the rabbit hole of promoting her book. The other author that has done an incredible job in the same vein is Catherine Carrigan, Carrigan. Her book is called What is Healing? And again, by plugging her name and her book into a Google search, you may encounter some things that you didn't know about, because she's done a lot of effort in this process. Okay, now I'm going to take a step away from this for a moment, and I'm going to kind of reiterate something that we discussed in our last webinar last week on blogging, okay? One of the key components to blogging is the back office stuff in our WordPress website, okay? And whenever you talk about back office stuff, what I am referring to is the utilization of your keywords. Keywords are important because that's a search engine optimization component that will help your website grow. And so those keywords are a very important component in your blog, and also in perhaps some of your setup in the book's social media sites, perhaps through your posting on Facebook and Twitter. Those keywords could be very helpful. Most of you have seen a hashtag, and people have mentioned that. Well, you can register hashtags. If you want to do that, you just Google registering a hashtag, and it will get you to a website that allows you to register a hashtag. Many people use hashtags without registering, but that's why you could be a little smarter than some authors and some promoters, and you can actually look at those hashtags that may be effective and register them. Don't know exactly what it gets you, mind you, but those kind of things are worth some research. And so, Tom Carroll, you can register hashtag the Oracle. And more than likely that's going to be a way that you can drive traffic to your website. Certainly, it is a branding component. And, we all want to look at those branding. Now, there was also another thing, and I'm trying to think up the name. So if anyone has this name, um, I'm just trying to pull on my memory and I can't come up with it. There was a way that every time you posted on someone's blog, made a comment, a little icon could come about, and I think it was called. Now it's kind of like a favicon that we use in our text messaging, but there was some way that you could generate a little icon logo that went along with your name. And I remember I did that. I did that on one site, and I haven't utilized it recently. And I used one of our Shopcat logos as the icon. So every time I would post a blog, that would be part of my posting. Again, it was a branding component. So what I'm getting at is that branding is going to be something that we're going to want to put on that calendar as a step to do. We want to develop a branding component. For those of you in our promotion program, branding is a part of that, and branding takes the course of a couple of different things. Okay, perhaps a logo is part of a brand, but also a tagline. Um, I think Tom has used on his business card, help. Gosh, I can't think. I don't have a card in front of me anymore, and I don't think I have one in my wallet. But a tagline for what we do, maybe what our genre is, or within our genre. And a tagline is generally 3 or 4 words. We don't want it to be a lengthy sort of thing, so that if we can come up with a cute tagline and a logo, well then heck, we've got our brand. And so every time we send out an email, the bottom of that email, we're going to want to put that in. I think there's a way of templatizing those sorts of things, which takes me to another component of emails. And I found this every time that Deb McTiernan sends me an email. The bottom of her email, she's got links to her website and her book on Amazon and her blog and things like that. So we can develop an email template that every time we send an email, that information goes out with it, okay? Someone may click on something off of that email, okay? I had a friend who, I've talked to her about Tom's programs, but that wasn't how I connected with her. And I wanted, she sends me a monthly email about a promotion she's doing for her services. And I wanted to share with her that, it would really be a benefit to her if she added some of those live links at the bottom of her email, so that people could click right on those things. And I think she has a book that she created. So those kind of components can help us get the word out there. And opt into our mailing list could be on that. A link to our Amazon book selling page, a link to our website. All those components can be added as a template to our email. And we can do that once, and then every email that we send out will have that in there. Again, I'm not sure how to do this personally, so what I would do, since I use GoDaddy, I would put into Google how to create a GoDaddy email template. Okay? I waste my time every time I send out an email. I sign my emails RJ, and then I generally cut and paste Cheers, Rama John, Director of Publish Now, my phone number, my email address, and sometimes my Skype address. Okay, well, I could develop a template for that, and actually that would all go out a lot quicker, a lot easier. Okay, well, save yourself some steps and develop an email template that every email that you send out has a bunch of information. And you can add stuff to that. You can have a template for this kind of client. You can have a template for that kind of client. So these are the little steps that we can take along the way that will ultimately reap some fruit later on down the road. Okay, what else have I encountered that I thought was cool? There was something that I found, and let me think about. I'm going to have to Google this real quick. So give me 1 second. My favorite website is Google Search. Boy, I'm not finding it real easily. Let me see if I have the wrong name. Oh, I did. Look at that. Okay, I encountered this a while ago, and I never really played with it, but I thought this was really cool. It's something called Flipboard. So, flipboard.com. What this did, and this will lead into some more discussion for us. What Flipboard was a way that you could set up your own magazine type social media. Okay, so if I wanted to post articles on mountain bike travel, I could set up a Flipboard called Mountain Bike Travel, and I could just post articles to it, and it would lay it out in a magazine type format. You know, I thought this was cool stuff. You know, I thought about doing one for coffee, since one of the books I'm going to write about was about coffee. You know, I write about Sedona. I could do one for Sedona. I write about Hawaii. I could do one for Hawaii. Okay, and more than likely, this is one of those forgotten sorts of things that most people never encountered. So you could have a link from your website to your Flipboard magazine on stock trading, or you know, Vietnam veterans articles, or you know. You know, I'm just looking at the names and trying to come up with some ideas for you. Okay, so this was a really cool little site, and it was easy to do. You could post articles that way. You could actually provide content to it yourself. And what you would do is you would have a full-on magazine that dealt with a topic that you wanted to kind of provide a portal system for. Okay, so we in a webinar a few weeks ago, and it could have been last week because I can't remember, we talked about something called Google Alerts. Okay, Google Alerts is a way that you can be alerted to articles being posted on the internet related to a topic. You know, for me, mountain biking was a Google alert that I could do. Okay, so that every time an article was posted about mountain biking, I could be alerted, and I could put those articles in my blog. I could have a blog component that was just all mountain biking. If I wanted to use mountain bike travel, because you know, Sedona is a travel destination, well, then I could start posting other articles relating to mountain bike travel elsewhere. And what I would be doing is I would be developing a way to drive traffic to my website, because ultimately maybe people would start to, you look at my website as a place to find out what's hot in mountain bike travel. what's hot in Sedona mountain biking, what's hot in coffee. I mean, these are the kind of things that we can build our presence with. Um, one of the things that I talked about, and most of you were on last week's webinar, but one of the things that I talked about was a component of our blog is to share who we are. In addition to our book that we're promoting, there are other interests that we're, interested in. And so we're sharing our personality, because that's how we have to network in the digital age, because people don't get to meet you face to face. So we started to look at ways of sharing interests that we had. You know, there's lots of interests that we all have individually, and this is one way that we can do that without having to write articles about it. We can repost someone else's article about that, and that's one of the components of utilizing our blog effectively, is that it doesn't have to be our articles. And what you'll find is that if I were, in my Google alert, I found that Bill Murphy was continually writing articles about mountain bike travel, eventually I would come up with this bright idea. Well, I've been reposting his articles. I'm going to start communicating with him directly, and maybe he'll start posting my articles on his website. Okay, so the next step that most of us will want to pursue is what I call cross-blogging. And this takes research, gang. Cross-blogging to other people's blogs and to forums is another great way of getting our name in front of an audience that we haven't attracted ourselves any other way. So, these are the kind of steps that are ways that we can get our name and our footprint out there. Well, I'm running out of time, so at this point, I'm going to say that we are going to revisit this in a little more formal fashion. Bill and I are going to get together, and we're going to look at a chart that he's created, and we're going to add components to that so that we all have a little more of a guide for where we go from here. But I wanted to open up again the forum for people to ask questions as to what they've done, what they've found, what they want to share with the rest of the group. So it looks like Tom Pitts has already unmuted himself, so I know he's got something to say.
I just wanted to sort of disagree on what to put first. Facebook blogging, of course, is real important. Second, the Twitter, it's really easy to get in and get comfortable with that social media. And the Twitter is kind of like a coffee shop. I mean, it's active. When you go there, tweets are coming up. Get followers. You do that, what Denise Casino calls the targeted followers. Mm-hmm. You go up, search Twitter, you put hashtag and then a tag, homeless veterans. One word, veterans, hashtag homeless. Tweets with that. You can start to see where your platform is. And to create 10 tweets, you really got to go back into your bio or some of your own material and pick out those little sound bites. And that's to identify form. Now when you tweet, out of those, one or two will get retweeted. Bingo. Now we know. I did very little experience in advertising. I remember when I worked in clothing stores, and we'd put up an ad, and we'd figure out which ad worked, or which little, we get some half page, and which little image in there drew the most. Twitter is once you get, play it, and it'll break down a lot of barriers and give you a lot of feedback really quick. Thank you for your time.
Hey, Tom actually hit on another thing that I didn't mention that is critical. Tom mentioned going into your profile and kind of looking at some of those components and using them as hashtags. One of the keys to setting up your profile, gang, is to make sure that the keywords that you're working with are in that profile, in the descriptions of who you are. And especially when you do Google Plus, one of the things I remember reading is that you want to make sure that in Google Plus that you make it known that you are an author. Okay, so it would translate further into the other social medias, because that when we set up those profiles, we may not even been an author at that point in time or thought about pursuing that direction. Well, that is a real important tag that we want to make sure that especially Google Plus recognizes you as an author. And I can't remember where I read that, but that was something that stuck in my mind real clearly. So when we go to some of those other social media sites, look at your profile, look at how you set things up. I used to experiment a little bit with the book social media sites, as I would have 2 or 3 different about the authors and about the book, and I would experiment by, okay, well, this one I'm going to put this one in, and that one I'm going to put that one in, and they didn't necessarily vary a whole lot, and I'm not sure if I actually looked at the results, but some of that kind of stuff can be pre-written and in a Word document, and when you have to add to a profile, you cut and paste it, so it's like your boilerplate information. And if anyone has ever done a report at some point in time, basically those reports are done based on boilerplate. I was reading a report that the Forest Service put out about trail conflict, user trail conflict. Okay, and I looked at the thing, and it was just boilerplate. They even listed other districts that they had utilized and done these reports, and I'm looking, well, where's the actual data? Okay, well, they didn't actually have any data. They were just creating these reports through boilerplate stuff. Okay, and all that's fine and good when you're paying. When the Forest Service is paying $12 grand to get this report, but it may not show that the report was any good. But the utilization of this way of cutting and pasting information into our posts and our profiles can be very time saving in this endeavor that we're going with. So look at your keywords. Make sure that you've written those into your bios, that you've written those into your book descriptions. That way, those terminologies will be, utilized more effectively. And, as we talked about last week in blogging, it is real important to utilize your keywords. And here's the other component that we haven't looked at in recent webinars that Greg and I know, is that a keyword that we've utilized today might be of benefit for us to change that keyword 6 months down the road. The searching of that topic may change over time. So keywords can be changed in our website, in our blogs, okay? Something that we want to revisit on a regular basis, and it is definitely fodder for another webinar, because I can't address keywords today, and I have done I have done webinars on that. For those of you who never looked at, again, I'm blowing my own horn here. On the Promote Your Book Now Facebook page, I posted a nice article about keywords and how we can look at how to develop our keywords and stuff. So go to that article. It was very simple. It was very enlightening. I think Tom Pitts commented about it on the Facebook page. And it was a good article that I find. As I say, articles are really good, and I really, want you all to look at that silly little Facebook page that I put together, because each and every one of you can do that also. And you can post articles, you can post comments. They do say that one error, and I'm not sure if I agree with this because I haven't grown that big yet. One error that people do is that they only do a personal Facebook page and they don't do a business Facebook page. And the reason why you would want to do a business Facebook page is that it never maxes out, okay? Personal page will max out at 5,000 people, and then you can't take on any new friends, okay? A business website page or a fan page, so to speak, does not have any max. You don't collect followers, you collect likes. Well, as soon as I max out my personal page at 5,000, then I will realize why they've said have your business pages. I'd be very happy to have 5,000 Facebook friends at this point. So, up until a point, some of this stuff is a moot point. But it's real simple to set up a fan page, a topic page, for your Facebook presence. And I would imagine that it's the same way to set up a Twitter account that way. Again, I go back to what this social media expert guy put together for a package for Tom, and he said that he was going to set up 10 or more anonymous Twitter names, essentially. Okay, Denise works with I think 5 or 6 Twitter accounts where she's got over 200,000 followers in each, combined. Okay, so we can take a look again at various different presences on Twitters, on Facebook. Bear in mind again that it does require that we work them. Okay, if we just set up a fan page on Facebook and don't do anything with it, it's not going to do any good for us. A lot of the Hootsuites, a lot of our even our email marketing allows us to share on our Facebook pages when we send out these sorts of things, when we send out a blog posting. So it can be all intertwined. The key is that we need to perhaps set up that plan on that calendar so that we are consistent and we are continuing to grow. Otherwise, it's very haphazard. And, even myself, 1 month I won't even open up Facebook, and then I'll go back to it. And, I'm not sure if that's a real beneficial strategy for promoting ourselves, our book, our products, our services. Any other comments before I close down for the day?
Let me jump in if I can real quick, Rama. I put up my email address there for people if you want to get your copy of the book that we'll be talking about next Saturday. Get it a few days earlier, just email me. And I'm really interested in particularly those who aren't interested in the personal growth, the whole spiritual gig. Just your take on it. If this topic makes you want to take a nap, I'm still really quite interested in how it affects you, what you think of the layout in the book, and then, of course, anyone who has more interest. Anyway, hopefully it'll just be a lively discussion, and you'll be helping me to develop my thoughts around how I'm going to go forward with this book as a teaching vehicle. So email me for a copy of the book, and Rama will be sending a follow-on later.
Yep, I'm going to try to get my invitation for next week's webinars out early. I have another launch. Nadine Naleen has her book launch this coming week as well, and we want to get her as a number one. So bear in mind, and I'm learning this out, to become a number one. And this is somewhat disheartening, gang. To become a number one on Amazon, it is not really related to sales of your book, but it's a combination of sales and clicks. Now, I can't tell you what to click. I started to think about that this week because I was talking to Denise, and I was thinking, well, what is it that we need to click? Because heck, if we want to help our authors become number one, we can go on a clicking campaign to help them and get them up there without having to spend the $2.99. And the $2.99 or $5.99 is only one thing. If there's a way that we can develop a formula for what we need to click and to help an author, well, then hey, let's develop that. So that was my question for Denise this coming week is, in these campaigns, Denise, what do I click to help an author? So I learned something new, and we're always learning something new. And that would be something, and we're going to end this on this note. That is something that I think all of us can benefit from every week, is that we devote 15 minutes or a half hour to finding something new that will help us in our book promotion or help us expand our footprint out there in the internet. So again, Tom Carroll, that's something you want to put on maybe every week, maybe once a month, what the heck, is finding something new, a new site to post to, a new Facebook page, something new every week, every month, every other week. A lot of the stuff takes only moments to do, and we can then build it into our repertoire, and our footprint will grow. And that's how you see the satisfaction that you are making progress. Because a lot of times when you're in this promotion end of your book business, it's hard to see progress, and it's easy to get discouraged, and it's easy to get overwhelmed. Well, we're going to take that component out of the equation so that there's no more being overwhelmed, and that we do mark our progress. So as I say, Bill and I are going to develop a somewhat of a template to help authors move forward. And we're not doing it for you, we're doing it for us. Okay, so keep that in mind, that everything that comes out of these webinars is so I can hear it as well. I'm no genius here. I'm not. I'm moving ahead slower than most of you, but I am moving ahead. Everybody, have yourself a good week, and remember, next week is Halloween, so I hope to see some at least funny hats or costumes or vampire teeth or something on the webinar. And Tom Pitts, next Saturday there's a zombie apocalypse dance at one of the places in Cottonwood. You might want to attend it. We're caught between Cottonwood and Flagstaff. We really like Flagstaff more. I think it's because it's a younger town and we get to feel younger. Because we are the oldest people that attend most of these events there, but there is something about that. There aren't that many white beards at those events in Flagstaff. A couple. Everybody have a great week, and I will be back next week. Tom Carroll will be our author presentation for the second webinar, and I'm not sure what the first one's going to be, but I'll come up with some insightful topic and to make up stuff about it. So everyone have a great week. We'll see you then.
You too. Bye.
Thanks, Rama.